Good afternoon, surfers. I'm Dan Jennings, and this is a Blue Wave special report. Today, I'd like to talk to you about the group No Labels and also the danger third-party candidates pose in general. No Labels is a shady political outfit preparing to run a unity ticket in 2024. The Democratic strategists and never-Trump Republican operatives fear will siphon votes from President Joe Biden. It is what is commonly known as a dark money group and refuses to identify its donors, most of whom have donated the maximum $5,600 allowed by law. Thankfully, Mother Jones has obtained a list of 36 of their contributors and corporate high rollers who last year wrote big checks to support No Labels' efforts to win 2024 ballot lines in states across the nation. This roster includes past and present chief executives of major companies, including the Lowe's Corporation, Abry Partners, SailPoint, and Fortress Investment Group. Noteworthy among these players is the founder of natural gas company Behemoth Freeport. Michael Smith is his name, and he has donated more than $5 million over time to Mitch McConnell's Senate Leadership Fund. He has also backed the gubernatorial election campaigns of Virginia's Glenn Youngkin and numerous GOP senators. His wife Iris, however, plays both sides of the fence, having been a Democratic donor as well as Republican donor. She has given copious amounts, however, to GOP Senators Perdue, Tillis, McConnell, and Cotton. Now, also, at least 16 of these 36 donors have graced Senator Sinema, sorry about the marbles today, folks, with money. As a nonprofit, No Labels must file returns viewable by the public at large. Its most recent, in 2021, shows $11.3 million in dark money, with an investment of $2.4 million, or over 20% of its intake, to the Insurance Policy for America Incorporated, a corporation birthed on December 20th of that same year and located at the same address as No Labels. As Officer Barbrady would be wont to say, nothing to see here, move along. Nearly all this money was then funneled to Capital Advisors, a Virginia-based consulting firm whose main task is to get No Labels ballots accessed in all 50 states. Now, poll data suggests a No Labels campaign would hurt Biden more than Trump. Now keep in mind, if the third-party candidate in 2016 had taken just 0.2% more of Biden's votes in Arizona, 3% more in Michigan, 0.3% in Georgia, 1.1% in Pennsylvania, and 0.6% in Wisconsin, we would have had a much different outcome, the likelihood being Trump winning a second term. It was just that close. Now here is where we discuss the 8-year-old gorilla in the room known as Secretary Hillary Rodham Clinton. She of the Benghazi hearings, who had a hot mic at the time, Representative, now House Leader McCarthy, admitted the sham of the hearings designed to deflate her popularity among the public. And guess what? Combined with an investigation into emails that almost everyone inside the Beltway knew was a crock, it worked. It caused many voters to vote for Jill Stein or not vote in protest. This, many people feel, handed the Oval Office to Donald Trump. Remember the numbers I gave you, people, who then created an ultra-conservative Supreme Court with no ethics board to stop people like Harlan Crow from buying houses for SCOTUS member family members, nor taking them on lush vacations or buying them $1,000 bottles of wine on vacations they say they have no recollection of. And yet we still also have the unanswered question of who did pay off Justice Kavanaugh's bills. In 2024, it would simply take a jump of a couple of percentage points in swing states to a third-party voter that could also swing the general election to Trump. Keep in mind those numbers, people. They're terrifying. In 2025, I and many others tried to tell people, it's the justices, stupid. What we frequently heard back was we had no right to tell people how to vote, and we were driving them away. Well, they're right in one thing. We have no right to tell you who to vote for. But we do have the right to point out to you the potential results of your vote or non-vote in many cases in that election. We brought up Roe and the likelihood of it being overturned, the possibility of the ACA being overturned, The continuous decimation of voting rights, as well as the high probability of seeing individual rights put second behind religious beliefs, which recently happened in Creative LLC versus Alinas et al. And Groff versus DeJoy rose to the Supreme Court after a Christian former postal worker living in rural southeast Pennsylvania sued the post office. Gerald Groff argued that his job did not allow him to observe Sabbath on Sundays. Hey, I wonder if he watches the NFL. And punished him when he did not work those days. This is something that even those of us with the most minute understanding of the Constitution knows was against everything our founders believed. Go read the Federalist Papers, people. Had this SCOTUS decided to go along with Trump and his farcical lies about the election that he and certain news organizations, Fox, fed 24/7 to his cult, he may have very well succeeded in destroying our democracy, installing at best an autocracy and at worst a dictatorship. And this is what we do have the right to tell you. What your vote could very well lead to. In 2024, let's talk about what SCOTUS will hear. A case that could allow the overturning of red flag laws, as the justices could very well and likely will allow an abuser in Texas to exercise his Second Amendment rights to own a gun. This is in addition to other cases designed to entrench more guns, make the rich richer, and undermine our civil liberties. Now, I'm not here to espouse either for or against either side. What I am here to do is to tell you the consequences of your actions and beg of you to consider them before you go to the voting booth in 2024. Not in 2025, when it will simply be too late. For the Blue Wave Report, I'm Dan Jennings, asking you, when you go to the voting booth, don't just consider who you're voting for, but also who you're not voting for, who will be appointed. Thank you, and have a good evening.